then we look for etiologies.
AC joint pain.
What have we got? Run through me again. This is, see, most of these patients are going to be doing something fairly ballistic or strong with their shoulders. If everything you're doing is down here, if you're leading an ordinary life, middle age, you're leading an ordinary life, and everything you're doing down there, it's very unlikely that you're going to get an AC joint problem, even if you've got thoracic shoulder problems. Yeah? This thing needs to be taken to an extreme, and usually ballistically. So that patient's going to be fairly active. Right, so again, just run through me again. What areas we'll be looking at? This AC joint stuff.
T-spine.
Okay, T-spine. Yeah.
Shoulder, lower here.
Glenohumeral.
Ribs.
Ribs. So let's see, that's T-spine. Ribs. All right. Not usually though. You usually just bug it up rather than move it over up. What else you got?
Elbow.
Why?
No reason. I thought we said that earlier.
No, we didn't. I had that debate, didn't I? I didn't think it would be. No, it's more likely to be buggered up than bugger up. So what else you got? Actually, I'm going to change it. Why C-spine?
Mostly as it relates to all those other joints, right? All the muscle control of those other joints.
It may be the etiology of the glenohumeral joint primarily, but let's not go there. You're actually moving on to secondary etiologies. Let's stick with the primary ones first. So why survival?
Could have affected like that C7 thing so that you're getting tightness.
Well, that will bugger up the glenohumeral joint. Will it bugger up the AC joint?
Well, depending upon what predisposition you might have in the AC joint. This is just argument.
Well, no, this is all what we're talking about. Everything we're talking about now is predispositions. Scapula. Scapula's not mobile, then you're really likely to bugger up the AC joint, aren't you? So when we're looking at the neck, we're really looking at the effect of the neck. Scapula. And the effect of the neck with the glenohumeral joints. Yeah. So in the T-spine, what do we expect to find in the thorax?
Flexion, subluxation.
Well, it actually depends, doesn't it, whether the activity is this or whether it's that. But also, don't forget the transverse subluxations and the anterior subluxations. These things can jam forward, can't they? We've looked at the anterior ones. That means nothing's going to extend on the inside. So what we're going to be looking for, though, is primarily if it's an overhead activity that they're involved in, it's going to be an extension hypomobility with overhead activities and a flexion hypomobility with underhead. What is it? underhead. What do you want to call that?
Just hypermobility, which leaves it.
Is that okay?
Right, and then it gets some blocks, but who knows which way.
So in a humeral joint, what do we expect to see in the neck? Now we're looking at hypomobility at the shoulder, aren't we? Yeah. Why would you have a hypo? What sort of conditions would lead to hypomobility at the shoulder? Hypo. Hmm? So hypertonicity in the muscles. Yeah. Limited in range. What else you got?
Getting rid of like post-surgical conditions, scar
No,
tissue
no,
and
no,
stuff like
no.
that.
This stuff's easy. We're doing the difficult stuff.
Labral tear.
Labral tears. Yeah, the thing either sitting too anterior, not being able to get posterior, getting jammed up on a bit of labrum. So what muscle groups are we looking at here? Hmm?
Rotator cuff.
Okay, so C5, 6, and? I've already said it's this big muscle, isn't it? So the pecs, the big flexors. So again, C7, C8, somewhere in there. C5, 6, and 6, 7, 8, keep going. Okay. For the ribs, let's say basically for overhead activities, these ribs have to be able to come back and down. So if they're jammed up, then you're not going to be able to do that. So superior subluxation, first and second rib. Superior subluxation, most of them are. The lower ribs, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Again, anything that stops the thorax coming back. So these things are, yeah, they're going to be superior again, jammed either superior or they're going to be jammed anterior. So we've been talking about dorsolateral ventromedial gliding, haven't we? So how would that translate? Yes, breathing in, that brings this rib back, so it'll be a dorsolateral glide restriction. Yeah? Probably the best way to put this. SC, the SC you're going to see that made unstable rather than being a quarter. Ignore that. And for the shoulder, for the C-spine doing the scapula, again, the scapula is going to come back and down, isn't it? So we're looking at these muscles coming across here. So primarily, it's going to be the elevators and protractors. So again, pectoralis minor. That's principally C8T1.
Yeah.
Now, what about weakness of these muscles? I may be able to get the scapula back to do this, but what if the muscles can't pull it back hard enough and fast enough? You've got all the opposite stuff going on there around the scapula. So we've got muscle incompetency in two ways. One is it's not extensible enough, and the other one is it can't generate enough power. So we're back into this business about radiculopathy and so on. But if you look at this, these are your primary etiologies. Now we come out and find there's a C7A, C8T1 problem or a C5-6 problem. You now need to be looking for secondary etiologies. Why is C5-6 a problem? You're going to secondary etiologies, maybe tertiary etiologies. And eventually just run out of things to think about. And I think what it does is it peters out. It's sort of a butterfly effect. I mean, a little, very small one in amplifies as more and more conditions become involved. So in the end, it just sort of peters out and you just run out of things to do. Is that okay? All right. So how many of you had positive O'Brien tests? 3, 4 of you?
I've had one in the past, but yesterday I did
Okay,
not.
then you still got one, mate. You got labelled from 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you 4 pair up with somebody who hasn't got one, and you go and find out why they've got a label problem. First off, diagnose that they've got a label problem, and then find out why. Okay?